Welcome back. New this morning, President Trump agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire with Iran on the condition that Tehran immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Fox News can confirm that there is now new movement in the critical waterway, with ships passing through the strait. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through the strait every day, over 80% of which goes to China. But of course, the strait has been virtually in a shutdown until now. Beijing remains Iran's top oil customer and has reportedly helped fund Iran's war machine. The Wall Street Journal writes this, quote, payments are routed through smaller Chinese banks that have limited global operations and less to lose if they are sanctioned by the U.S., making it hard to stop them. Joining me now is the former Reagan National Security Council Senior Director, Roger Robinson. Roger, it's great to see you. And of course, we've been talking so much over the years about China and Chinese companies being complicit. I want to get your take on this deal, this 2-week ceasefire that the president has led here, even as we know that China had been providing Tehran with intelligence, surveillance, military weaponry to help retaliate against the United States and Israel. Your reaction, and of course, you've got incredible experience having dealt with another adversary so many years ago in the Soviet Union under the Reagan administration, in the administration.
Well, the markets are certainly cheery this morning for good reason. This is a very important hiatus. After all, that strategic choke point in the Strait of Hormuz has gone on for far too long. You mentioned the statistics, about 30% of seaborne oil flows, 20% of LNG, 33% of the world's fertilizer trade, not to mention aluminum and helium. All of these precious commodities are really stuck, and we have relied on the Strait of Hormuz, which is not a viable corridor. It's contested. It has been. We've looked the other way on this, and now it's time to grab the nettle right now, and it's already underway on new pipelines, land bridges, ports, all kinds of rail, road, whatever it takes to mitigate that risk, because it's absolutely unacceptable. And I'm also pleased that you and Andy Barr, for example, chatted about China a bit and their role. It's very important to go over the bidding. I mean, China is providing Iran about 35 to 40 billion a year when it takes that 90% plus of Iranian oil. There's another 35 billion in non-oil trade. So you're talking about 75 billion clams a year are moving from China into Iran. That's extraordinary.
Yeah,
yeah, please.
And they do this also by undermining the United States in so many ways. We've talked a fair amount about Chinese companies listed on American exchanges, also reportedly helping to aid Iran. As of last March, there were 286 Chinese companies listed on U.S. exchanges. That's a market value of more than $1.1 trillion, and it's $250 billion more than the start of 2024, Roger. So this issue has gotten worse.
Indeed. I mean, you have about 40 Chinese companies, including the majors like China National Petroleum, Sinopec, and others that are really responsible for keeping Iran a going concern. We did an analysis of those 40. All of them, ironically, are in the investment products of our major asset managers, and thereby in the investment portfolio of scores of millions of unwitting American retail investors. All of the 40 that we looked at are being held by Americans. So here we have the American people involved in helping China underwrite Iran. I mean, Iran's been, for all intents and purposes, a subsidiary of China. They're not some innocent bystander. Look at the weapon systems. Look at the CM-302 supersonic anti-ship missiles. Look at the HQ-9 design air defense systems. Look at the missiles, the drones, and not to mention their space assets being used to target our forces. PATO, their GPS equivalent, is responsible for guiding those missiles and drones our way. I mean, we just have to recognize that we are in a belligerent situation, in effect, with China. They are a kind of enemy combatant, even albeit indirectly. So we just have to remember who we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is just not another country. And Pakistan, I'm glad they're serving a useful role as a mediator, but I'm not altogether comfortable given the fact that they too are a kind of subsidiary of China, at least more than to my taste.
Yeah, I mean, the president wrote on Truth Social yesterday, based on conversations with the prime minister and field marshal of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire, writes the president. Now, we've spoken about those Chinese companies on exchanges in prior Fox Nation specials of mine. Underwriting the Enemy is what we launched in terms of an incredible series of pieces on China. We've got a new Fox Nation special coming up, and that is called The Enemy's Arsenal, and you are joining me in it. You talk to me about China's relationship with Iran. Let's watch a clip of that. Watch. We talk so much about Iran's proxies. Is Iran a proxy of China?
My answer would be yes. I mean, you can't find a comparable relationship. Now, American lives are on the line. Does China care? No, no, no. No, they're trying to increase the effectiveness of the Iranian weapon systems targeting our men and women in uniform. That's a fact. China is across the board here, not just an innocent bystander in this conflict. I would describe them as an enemy combatant.
Our new special, The Enemy's Arsenal, begins tomorrow on Fox Nation, and we are looking at the arsenal in terms of the military in China versus the United States. Incredible military that continues to leave the world in awe. Roger, what is your most important takeaway from this special that you want viewers to walk away with?
I think it is the fact, Maria, that we've created, in effect, a near military competitor who's ahead in certain categories. You've often mentioned the naval forces. This is a national tragedy for us that we've fallen as far behind as we have under largely democratic leadership here. Certainly President Trump is doing his level best to right the ship, so to speak, and get the kind of defense spending and investment that's so urgently needed. But we have to remember that, again, we have transferred in the way of wealth, just in the capital markets and private equity categories, trillions of dollars over the past 25 years directly into the coffers of the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army. We are responsible for some of those frontline advanced weapon systems that are being produced. All of those companies, and you have to look at it at the corporate level, are in, again, the markets, not just the listed variety, but we have about 5,000 Chinese companies traded in our markets, which is a huge benefit for them. And you look at them, and are many of them sanctioned and blacklisted by the United States? You bet they are. And yet it's legal, and therefore Wall Street's still comfortable doing it, even though I think it's fiduciarily malfeasant. But nevertheless, there we are. And this is the kind of thing that has to stop. We can't can't be underwriting the enemy, as the name of the series states. I mean, we are doing precisely that, and that's my biggest takeaway. And you'd think that the low-hanging fruit represented by sanctioned, blacklisted companies would certainly get people motivated to end these practices and at least take a disciplined approach, but it hasn't happened as yet. We're getting there. The president's America First investment policy spells it out. I just hope it's implemented faithfully.
All right, Roger, we'll keep watching that, of course, and this new special drops tomorrow on Fox Nation. Did you have a final point, Roger?
I did. I wanted to not leave the program here without congratulating you on your receipt of the Horatio Alger Award. I'm sure that's going to be a glorious event coming up this Friday evening, and it's much deserved. There's no one that warrants it more than you.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Thank you very much, Roger. We will see you soon. Roger Robinson is in my new special, The Enemy's Arsenal, and it drops on Fox Nation tomorrow. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you, sir.